Okay, smokes, here's something else to prove that Jim Alderden is the guy who wanted all the press. Check this out. From 3 years ago, coincidentally, Lee Christian was the attorney for this. That's Mayumi's attorney. So 3 years ago, Lee Christian, the attorney for Richard Bastien, a murder suspect in the September 8th LaPorte shooting, pointed to an October 31 edition of the Bullseye released days after Judge David Williams imposed a gag order. Alderden described defense attorneys as the same individual who can seldom, if ever, mount a defense for their client. So the only tool they have left is to attack the professionalism and integrity of the accuser, as an example of Alderden's breaking the gag order. The sheriff specifically states that the defense has no defense. Christian wrote in his motion for contempt charges, he tells the public and the potential jury pool that the defendant is guilty and is abusing valuable court resources. Let's jump on down. Those statements are designed to prejudice people about the system, and that people in the system are always guilty, Christian argued in court. Any prejudice that came from the sheriff's statements was brought on by defense attorneys and their motion, prosecutor Andrew Lewis said in court. Now here's the thing, Andrew Lewis was the same prosecutor for our incident. Lee Christian was Mayumi's attorney. And of course, Sheriff Alderden was involved as well. Let's go on down here. Christian vehemently denied this claim and said the sheriff sought the attention. Right there. Check it out. Okay, so from 3 years, you fast forward to 10/22/09. He calls this article Up, and Away, the Bullseye, or at least it was taken off the site then. So he's bragging. The sheriff's bragging. I sometimes have trouble figuring out what to write about, but not this week. Some of you may have heard about a little incident we had involving a spaceship balloon, a big balloon. This incident has given me ample fodder. Let's skip down to this. I have over 500 emails, and we have had a like number of phone calls from all over the world. I can't possibly respond to them all personally. You get the gist. Lots and lots of emails. Lots and lots of phone calls from across the United States, Canada, Germany, Japan, Australia, Fiji, and other countries. Anyway, this upset attorney Lee Christian. He wrote letters about it, complaining again. But it's the sheriff's department that are responsible for the whole media frenzy. They could have cut it off a lot sooner. After Falcon made his presence known, Detective Heffernan looked at me and he said, "What are you going to do about the press?" Well, all this time we were there, we never even watched the TV. We had no clue what was out our front door. So he said, "Yeah, you got a bunch of press out there, you're going to have to say something." I said, "I'm not going to say anything to anybody. Are you out of your mind? We just found our kid." He said, "Well, look at it this way, Richard. If you don't say something, they're going to be out there for the next 2 weeks hounding you." So I had to think about it for a bit, and he was kind of right, because how am I going to get to and from work? I can't bring press to my jobs. Well, then I told him, I said, "Okay, fine, but would you come out with me to Detective, or this investigator Heffernan?" He said, "No, I can't, but the sheriff is on his way over. He wants to stand out there with you." That's what he said verbatim. I had to sit there and wait until the sheriff showed up. The sheriff shows up. He's out there, stands out there next to me during this press conference. He's the one that wanted the media attention. See through it. See it for what it really is. Tim Masters' case was high profile in that it wasn't just Colorado. This was globally. These guys went home that evening and thought, "Oh my God, this is a high profile case. This could accelerate our career. We got to find something. We got to assemble something." It took them 3 weeks to find a charge. There was no charge. 3 weeks of digging around, trying to find a suitable charge for this. Think about that, man. So they went after Tim Masters for 13 years. They finally convict the guy wrongfully, lying on the affidavits, perjuring themselves on the stand. They will stop at nothing to get a conviction. especially if the media is involved. After I do my time, they finally allow me to go get the flying saucer, okay? And we're worried that there's going to be media there. We go through the police, we go through the sheriff's office doors, and there's a bunch of cops there, and one of them is snapping off photographs in the lobby. I couldn't believe it. So we asked, and we said, is this going to go out to the media? You know? They said, no, this is just for our records. Well, lo and behold, the next day, the woman snapping pictures writes a sarcastic article and posts it up on the blog, and the media picks it up. I'm quite sure the Heenes have no idea how they turn my life, indeed the lives of many of us, upside down with their antics. Heck, they don't even know who I am. When Richard and Mayumi Heene picked up their balloon for evidence, I had my camera. She's bragging about it. He is now sporting a beard and a mustache. She is not. They didn't like my taking photos, and actually I said I needed their permission to do so. They added they didn't want their pictures in the papers or on TV. So I took only about 50. What the hell is that supposed to mean? So I only took about 50. Here comes the good part. Are you ready? It's a doozy. Sheriff's office personnel had to help him lay out the balloon. He said he wanted to measure it to make sure it was his balloon, as opposed to all of the other silver flying saucer type devices we have evidence. Or did he think someone here would have taken the time to build a reasonable facsimile to switch with his and then sell it on eBay? Well, whatever he thought, that, my friends, is a true story. Yep, true story. So this woman writes her nasty little blurb about us, and then there it is. See, smokes? Right there. Look at that. Photograph. The Colorado one picked it up and publicized it. They're all in it together. Who wants the press? When I communicate to Mayumi, I've got to ask her 3 to 5 times the same question, most times throughout the day, just to get the right answer out of her. And so, yeah, I was a bit upset that they were even asking her questions, but imagine, she didn't have a Japanese interpreter. Do you understand what I mean by hoax? Okay.
Back then I was thinking hoax means exhibition, and the word was in my life. I never had that word. So and later on I look up a dictionary and then look up the word, and oh my God, that's honestly I thought.
Think about this. Mayumi comes to America, doesn't speak a word of English, nothing, okay? She has to learn it all on her own. So on a daily basis, imagine a Japanese American, how many words would they use on a daily basis compared to, say, somebody who speaks English? Here are the facts. The average person in America speaks, here are the facts. The average person in America speaks about 350 to 500 words on a daily basis. So according to the word frequency list of American English by Mark Davis and D. Gardner, 2010, out of 20,000 most common words you will encounter in the English language, in the real word, the word hoax doesn't even make the list. It's not even in there. So, logically speaking, of course Mayumi is not going to have the chance to use the word hoax. Not only that, Mayumi's English was so bad that Wife Swap had to subtitle her in 2 different episodes.
Climb up on trees. They act like monkeys.
Kids are not really enjoying having fun.
So they basically ambushed Mayumi, and they asked her to get in the police car and leave her kids behind. We never leave our kids behind any place. And there were some cops there. Who knows what questions they were asking my kids. They towed my wife off down to the police station to ask her these questions. And so she separated from the kids,
I'm worried about my kids.
You're worried about the kids?
It's not because of myself. What's the word there? Selfishness. I really wish one of us can stay with the kids,
Okay.
but it may not happen.
Okay. Well, I can tell you this much, okay? I have no intention of separating you from your children right now. Okay? That's not my goal here. My goal here, though, is to get you to tell the truth, which it sounds like you're doing. Okay? And obviously there are going to be consequences, but I don't decide what those consequences are. But I want to be able to go to the people who make those decisions. As long as you're telling me everything, you know, I'm going to throw that in that mix.
And they didn't even read her rights. They didn't tell her that this was an investigation. And if they did, she wouldn't know the difference anyway. She doesn't watch TV. She doesn't understand that she has to be read her rights. Doesn't understand that.
And you knew that he was somewhere in the house, but you didn't know he was up in the attic?
I then asked her, you knew he, referring to Falcon, was hiding somewhere in the home, right? Mayumi responded, yes.
And you knew that he was somewhere in the house, but you didn't know he was up in the attic?
I then asked her, you knew he, referring to Falcon, was hiding somewhere in the home, right? Mayumi responded, yes.
So who told Falcon? Where was Falcon? Was Falcon in the attic?
Which I really didn't know.
Okay, well, where was he?
It seems he was in the attic.
You assumed he was in the attic?
No, I didn't. He was, but I didn't know about it.
Okay.
Where he was.
I specifically asked her if her son Falcon was really in the attic the entire time. She stated she thought he was, but wasn't sure.
Did you guys build this for the purpose of this hoax? Is that the whole purpose of building it?
Honestly, this experiment itself is not only for this. To build, I don't know, Richard mentioned 3D LAB, our invention.
Right.
In the future, we want to bring it up to that level.
Okay, so you do want to have this be a legitimate experiment and
Yes.
things like that.
I then turned my attention to asking her whether they built this craft specifically for the purpose of this hoax, to which she stated, he quotes her, the experiment for this type of craft is real in the future, but this craft was specifically built for the hoax. He quotes her. He quotes her. Listen to it. She never said that. That's an all-out lie. This was fed to the media. This was told to the media that she somehow admitted this. Listen to it.